I want to talk about 3 reasons that I want to vote for President Trump through a spiritual standpoint. The first thing is worship, um, freedom to worship. I've heard him say that. He's actually had uh, kids, I think it was from Texas, in the Oval Office about prayer in school. And he signed an order where they could pray in school. He's all about freedom of worship. Uh, from his campaign in 2016 till today, he's still about freedom of worship. From the spiritual aspect, I kind of like Titus, the first chapter, the third verse. Paul wrote to Titus, and he was talking about his preaching as God commanded it. God demanded that Paul preach his word. And that's what Paul wanted to do, and that's what Paul did. Well, if he's going to preach, he needs an audience. And those that wanted to hear would be able to come. Those that didn't want to hear didn't have to come. It's the freedom to worship. It's the freedom to listen to preachers or however you want to worship God. Freedom to talk about Jesus. Freedom to pray in your own house or pray in public. These freedoms, and President Trump is definitely for these things. Uh, Very pro-life. He spoke at a pro-life rally, and which I really like. And he said one of God's greatest gifts was a baby, was life. God's greatest gift to us is to have children. And go back to the Bible, many times God has said, be fruitful and multiply. The next thing is work. I like to work. And Trump is all about American made, American jobs, American safety. He's all about that. And I think that work is a definite need to society. Genesis 3:19, this was after Adam and Eve had ate of the tree of knowledge of good and evil. God cast them out of the Garden of Eden, and he had warned them that if they ate of that tree, they would surely die. And they did, just not right at the moment, but they did die. So after they was cast out of the garden, God had a talk with Adam and Eve and Satan. And he told Adam that there's not going to be any more free food around. It's just not going to be hanging from a tree. It's not going to be laying on the ground, that he would actually have to work to eat. The Bible goes on to tell us that a man that won't work is not worthy to eat. Today, people wouldn't believe that. They say that's pretty harsh, and kind of understandable, because we live in an ever-changing world, but we serve a never-changing God. But when God told Adam that, he meant that for me. He meant that for the people today as well as back then. So I want to work. And like I said, Trump is all about work. Trump knows that for a nation to prosper, it has to be a working nation. So this is what gives me peace and contentment, is to work and to take care of my family and protect my family. It's very fulfilling to me. It's a different kind of like having fun or any kind of pleasure, but this work gives you a great peace and contentment, and the reason being, because God told you to do this. This is the way God set it up. We have to work. And that even goes in with the right to bear arms for protection. The Bible doesn't say that, but I think in the taking care of your family, for the man to work also goes with protection. And Trump is against the gun control. Like I said, for work, for family, pro-life. These are the things that I really like about him, and why I will vote for him. On the other side, I watched the campaign debates, the candidates debate on the Democrat and Republican side, and most of them, they don't seem to be, definitely all of them, to take your guns, and they just don't really seem to be enthusiastic about work. And a lot of them, and it's very frightening on the socialism side of it, where the government takes care of you. The last thing is these lockdowns. I'm not downplaying coronavirus. I'm not one of the conspiracy theorists that say, that it's all a hoax or anything. It's real. I believe it. It's dangerous. But to lock a country down, and I have noticed that Biden really doesn't answer so much about locking down, but he's all about this, the masks and stuff, which is fine. But it concerns me, like we was locked down there for a little bit. It's really concerning to me. Governor of New York, I know he said, well, it's better to be locked down and save your life. Because if you don't, you could die if you go out and go about and go to work. So it's better to be locked down than to die. Well, I'm going to have to disagree with him. And for me to sit in the house and not work, not taking care of my family, not doing the things that I want to do, not being able to go out and spread the gospel and to talk about Jesus and what he's done for me. But I'm just sitting in the house waiting for the government or somebody else to throw a bag of groceries on my porch to feed my family. That's not living to me at all. That's dying. There's chances we take every day, but not to work, because we remember God demanded us to work and to take care of our families. So if we don't do that, and there's a chance of you contracting a virus, there's always been chances. You take chances every day. You could get hit going to the mailbox. We take chances every day. You get hurt at work. But this is what we have to do. And even with the virus, me going out to work, and I don't want to get it, I don't want to spread it to anybody, but it still gives me a peace and contentment that I can go out and work and provide for myself and provide for my family. It's very fulfilling, because that's what God wants us to do. And with all these things that we've talked about, like the risk of getting the virus, Romans 8:31, very powerful verse, and this is the latter part of verse 31. It says, if God be for us, who can be against us? Listen, I tell you, as a Christian, that we listen to the news and stuff, that sometimes there's a lot of people against us. But that doesn't really matter, because if God is for us, if we follow him, then all these things that are against us is never going to prevail. So that's my thoughts on voting for President Trump. Before you vote, pray, think about it, ask God to lead you. But from a spiritual aspect, with those things that I mentioned, I want to vote for Donald Trump. I've just started this channel. If you could maybe like it, share it, subscribe to it, because there's a lot of other ideas I've got, a lot of things I'd like to say, and I appreciate you watching. Have a great day.